Greetings. This is Telling the Truth in Love, number 7. I believe I'm going to call this Offer Up. I'm not talking about the marketplace, talking about not things, but talking about us. And what do we have to offer? And the reason why I want to share some thoughts about this is that, uh, what's kind of the maybe unaddressed, unspoken thing here. A lot of us struggle with feelings of, man, what do I have to offer, or how can I help in this situation? Or we look at the world, or we look at maybe things happening immediately around us with family and friends, and we kind of maybe feel helpless or powerless to do something because we just don't feel like we have the knowledge or resources um, to help. And so let me give an example. A number of years ago, I was dealing with some unemployment. I was off and on for about 3.5 years. It was pretty brutal. Um, and when I was first laid off from my job, there was kind of a little bit of excitement about, oh wow, change. What could I do? How can I shift? Um, do something different. I had been one place for about 24 years, and so I had a very, set um, specific set of skills, specific industry I worked in. And so as I was trying to, as I was applying for jobs and seeking a new direction, this is my early 50s. I was really struggling with some ageism. I'm confident there was some real ageism, but I think there was some self ageism. Just kind of like, oh man, am I? And after a while, I was wondering, like, am I like that? You can't teach an old dog new tricks kind of thing. Like, am I too old to learn new things and uh, uh, start fresh in a new industry and things like that. I tried technical writing. I worked. I worked at a company that did background checks, ironically, on people looking for jobs. I I was fired for the first time in my life. That definitely didn't help my sense of value and what I had to offer, because to them um, I wasn't living up. I didn't have what they needed, and so that was their perception, and there's very possibly some truth in that. That wasn't the job for me, and I taught in the high schools, subbed, and so that were all incredible experiences. But well, incredible. That's yeah. Even the job I was fired from, there were some really great things about that job. But during that time, so ageism was one thing. I really questioned what I could have to offer because I felt very pigeonholed by those 24 years prior. So just a number of things really made me question. Um, yeah, I was really kind of just struggling with that sense of not having the resources or the relevance um, to be kind of useful to anybody anymore, and that was not a good feeling. Uh, whoever's as you're listening to this, that may make you think of some moments in your life, or it may be a general feeling. I mean, some people have a general feeling like that. Um Maybe they haven't had some privileges or luxuries in life to uh, be as knowledgeable, educated, experienced as some other people, or whatever reason. I mean, you don't have to have any of those things to feel good about yourself, but in the world, the world likes to, the way the world is to compare to ourselves to each other. Um, so what I want to just put out there is that I've concluded that we all have something valuable to offer in any situation that may come our way, any time in our lives. Now we're all limited. Let me give an example. I was uh, I was visiting with a family recently. this family, the uh, the husband and the father passed away, and so there's some pretty significant needs there. Um, and that leaves a big void for children. I just want to specifically focus on that for a moment, just the children's needs. And my understanding, talking with a close friend who's a professional counselor and very knowledgeable about these things, with uh, kids having, just sort of crises that like this, they may be struggling with like abandonment and feelings of abandonment and neglect. Even though this is a death, not somebody literally leaving, choosing to leave, but maybe the same net effect, and maybe the kid's struggling with some anger. I can see it in one child, and so as I look at that, my immediate sense after visiting with his family is, wow, this seems pretty overwhelming. All the fires that had to be kept put out, with kids interacting with each other, and just some of their struggles made me think, wow, how do you can't replace a father exactly. He'll never be replaced per se, but there are needs there. And so it made me think, wow, how could people maybe come in and help fill some of those voids with the boys? Again, there's needs everywhere, I'm sure, but just specifically with the boys, say somebody to in our community, just say, hey, how about we take you guys fishing? How about we take you guys out to play some ball? How about somebody who can consistently or relatively consistently get in there and just try to just fill that void somewhat. And so, you know, it could be as simple as somebody who's got some cash and take them out to get a burger. If you got some extra cash, that's something you can offer. If you know how to fish, that's something you can offer. There's like water right near where they live. They just go down and fish. So there, it may seem like on the face of it, it seems like a very overwhelming situation. I'm sure there are overwhelming things about it, but there are things people can do. And as you're listening to this, you may be thinking about some situations in your life, people who have situations in your life, and it may seem overwhelming, but if we take the time to kind of just do an inventory and say, hey, what do I have to offer? It could be helping with algebra. That was one of the things that I became aware of. One of the children needs help with algebra for school. So there are a lot of people who can, have some. I mean, these are not these are not like superpowers. These are just everyday things we have. Knowledge of some algebra, fishing, a little money to go buy a burger. I mean, these are. But the biggest thing is time, right? It's let me give you my time, let me give you my attention. Those are the most expensive, valuable things. But I'm sure the kids need more than just somebody to come and just sit and stare at them. It's like, let's do something. And what do we have to offer people? And maybe we're the ones who need something. Well, flip it around. There are a lot of people. There are a lot of people around us. If we reach out, if we really pick up our head and look around and ask around, we will find help. I believe that. There's a proverb that came to mind as I was thinking about this topic. It says, when your neighbor asks for something and you have it with you, don't say, I'll give it to you tomorrow, when you have it with you today. I think we have to look at what we have. And just acknowledge what we have. Another example. I am a Christian. I read the Bible. There's this great story. It's recorded about Jesus and an interaction he had with a large crowd of people. Well, they had been following him. Actually, crowds followed Jesus quite often, but this crowd was following him for about 3 days. trying to get that spot of light um, away here. So a crowd had been following him for about 3 days, and they were hungry. So uh, they his followers brought this to his attention, and he said, "Feed them." I mean, these are 4,000 men plus, women and children. On top of that, 5,000 men plus women and children. I mean, a lot of people. And so he said, well, the amount of money that it's going to cost to go buy food and feed all these people, it's huge, like, a year's salary. um, and Jesus said, well, what do you have? So here comes, they find this boy, and he's got some loaves of fish and I'm sorry, loaves of fish. Yeah, fish cakes. Loaves of bread and some fish. And he's like, all right, that's enough. I mean, so, we hear that story, and, a lot of people may say, oh my gosh, that's ridiculous. Come on, that's just some tall tale big fish story. Not a big fish story. It's a little fish story with big impact. Some people may say, "Oh, well." I mean, we've got four witnesses. I've heard legal experts say that the gospel accounts can stand up in court. They could be considered testimony and stand up in court. So, I don't question what happened. How exactly Jesus stretched all that? I know parents who are pretty good at stretching food, making it go pretty far, and that's a huge stretch, though, right? But the point about it is not whether there was a miracle or not. The point is, here's a kid coming up and saying, "Well, I got something." I mean, to that kid and to the followers of Jesus who brought that kid, they're like, I mean, they were just responding like, what do you have? Oh, this is what we have. It's like, hey, guys, you're hanging out with some friends. It's like, let's get something to eat. Has anybody got some, cash or whatever? Like anyone uses cash anymore? And people dig in their pockets like, oh, I got like, 50 cents. Okay, well, what can we do with that? They must have felt like, oh, what's this going to accomplish? Maybe if one family can eat. But thousands of people were not only satisfied, it says there are 12 baskets full of fish and bread at the end of this thing. And I don't believe Jesus was just doing a miracle to do a miracle. There was a purpose in this event. It was a confirmation of who he was, and it kind of became a metaphor for deeper, more meaningful spiritual changes that can happen in people's lives, and the satisfaction that people can experience in a relationship with him. So, but that's another example. I always think of that, how this little boy just brought a little. And I mean, as I think about it, I mean, I do believe in a all-powerful God, and it's who created everything. So to me, it's not about what we have to offer; it's who we're offering it to. And so, even if we feel like we only have a little bit, that little bit, God could do a lot with a little bit. So that's how I look at it. But I just want to come back to kind of where I started here, that some of us struggle with feeling like we have anything to offer. I mean, I know a lot of people, I talk to a lot of people every day at work who are in very needy situations. And, they're asking for help, but I would bet money that each of these people has something valuable to offer their neighbors. I mean, I don't know if any of us knows senior age veterans or just seniors in general. I mean, the older generations, so rich with experience and knowledge and understanding. And a lot of them, a gentleness and a humility because they've been through so much. And there's just treasure there. Um, children. I mean, maybe people we don't, on the surface, think a whole lot about, rather. We may look at them and think, oh, well, you know, is this person worth my time a day? I'm just saying what we might be thinking. Sadly, well, what I'm thinking, that's terrible. But I believe, really, I would bet money that everybody has something valuable to offer. When my dad passed away in 1996, I was at church on a Sunday morning, and boy, this is the Sunday following the Monday he passed away, and I was just feeling so, just down, sad, kind of lost, right? And a woman came up to me, never met her before, never met her before, and I don't think I ever interacted with her since then. And she just sat down, and she said, "I lost my father." Wow, I mean, that's not even something material or something she, quote, has per se, but that's something she has an experience, something she lost, actually. But in that moment, it meant a lot to me. It really was so comforting. I didn't see it coming. It was so comforting. And so my question is, what are we going to offer up? What are we going to offer up? Well, what are we going to first recognize? Let's look at ourselves. Let's look at our experiences, what we have, what we've lost, our successes, our failures, how much money we've got in our pocket or the bank. Maybe stuff at home we don't use that we can sell and put on offer up and make some money and then do something good with that. There's a lot of things I believe every single one of us has to offer. Love to hear your thoughts because I want to grow. I want to continue growing in this area and so many other things that I've addressed so far in these videos, and I will plan to continue to address.